All right, everyone, welcome back. Welcome back. Come on into my huddle. I'm having a huddle today. All of you are welcomed into my huddle. That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the impact of daily huddles.
You're listening to the Limitless Leadership Podcast, the podcast designed to help automotive repair shops learn how to lead, coach, train, and manage their team better by sharing proven techniques and thought-provoking interviews from industry leaders. Are you ready to transform your leadership skills by tapping into unrecognized potential to achieve limitless results? Let's get ready for liftoff. It's time to go from great to greater. Here's today's episode.
All right, leaders, whether you're running a shop, leading a team, or leveling up in your career, you know details matter. And if you're like me, that includes keeping your beard on point. That's why I trust the Bearded Brotherhood. Their beard oils, beard balms, and mustache waxes, among other, are made with all natural ingredients, no junk, no shortcuts, just top-tier quality that keeps my beard looking sharp and feeling great. And let's talk scents. Whether it's their best-selling Woodsman or my personal favorite, Lone Stranger, the Bearded Brotherhood keeps me smelling fresh and my beard stays soft all day. If you take your beard game seriously, this is the stuff that you need. And because you're part of the Limitless Leadership podcast family, I've got a deal for you. Just visit thebeardedbrotherhood.co/lead15 to grab your favorite products and get 15% off in the process. Because a great leader deserves a great beard. Now, back to today's episode. The importance of daily huddles. Notice that I'm saying the word daily because some of us might be thinking, well, how often should we be having team huddles? I'm going to recommend daily because they're essential for three specific things: team communication, clarification on daily workflow, and engagement, which leads to increased performance. So you've heard me say this before, but connection is what creates engagement, and engagement is what increases performance. Why is this important? Because 70% of employees are disengaged at work. They're disengaged because they don't feel seen, they don't feel valued, they don't feel heard. So how do we create and increase engagement? We do that through connection. And one of the ways that we can connect is through daily huddles. Of course, you want to pair daily huddles with one-on-ones and consistent one-on-ones. We want to do toolbox talks. We want to show up differently for our team members than they've had bosses or managers or leaders show up for them in the past, because what you're doing is you're showing them how much you care. And we all know that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. We get to create safety and trust so that we can provide clarity and direction. And we can do so through daily huddles. So to kick things off, I'll begin by asking three specific questions in regards to daily huddles. Number one is, how often should we be having them? Of course, we've covered this already, but daily is the recommendation. Daily is a recommendation because repetition ultimately breeds retention. And it's one thing to say, well, Josh, I don't have time. It's busy here, or my guys just don't want to do it. They think it's a waste of time, or maybe I just don't know what to say every single day during a daily huddle. And I get it. I understand. We're going to talk about this, but I also want to share with you the specific sections. There are two specific sections of a daily huddle. And I think once we cover these sections, you'll have a better understanding of what your daily huddles could and should look like moving forward. So the first question was, how often do we have them? Daily is the answer. The second question is, when? When should we have them? This varies. I mean, a lot of what I'm going to be sharing with you today is subjective, but best practices based on feedback, but also real results that my own clients receive, as well as just experience in the industry. What I've seen is that morning is the best time. And I believe morning is the best time because it allows us to set the tone and set the pace for the day. A daily huddle is much like a football team prepares for their play. They have a huddle before every play, right? So they have every single play that they run, there's a quick huddle before the play. They're preparing for the play the same way a daily huddle allows you to prepare for your day. So treat the daily huddles like that, where it's like, you know what, we get to set the tone. We get to make sure that we're all on the same page. We're setting the pace for the day. Because ultimately, when the pressure is on, we don't actually rise to the occasion. We fall to our highest level of preparation. And daily huddles allow us to prepare for the day in an effective manner. So my suggested time window is in the morning. I like to say about 15 minutes before you open. So the duration, which kind of ties into the third question, is how long should they last? I would say typically 10 to 15 minutes. So I would recommend starting your daily huddle about 15 minutes prior to opening, and you can rest assured that your daily huddle will last about 10 to 15 minutes, and you'll be ready to hit the ground running when you officially open. Now, I want to go back to something I just shared though. I'm talking about doing this in the morning. Again, it's whatever works best for you. Some of you might be thinking, hey, that would be great if John could show up to work on time, or if Jack is able to actually be here today, because I can't depend on the guy, right? I get it. There are a lot of different factors that play into when you would have your one-on-ones. So it is a subjective suggestion that I'm making. I have a couple clients who have done their daily huddles in the evening. And so they will actually do their daily huddles after work because everyone is there and they get to kind of recap the day. So whatever works for you is what I think you should be moving forward and doing this. Take ownership of your daily huddles. However, what I've seen is morning is typically the best because it allows you to set the tone for your day. So the third question, so just to recap, we got the first question is how often daily? When do we do it? I'm recommending in the morning, but figure out what works best for you in your shop. And third, how long should they last? I think 10, 15 minutes max is a good, healthy cadence. Now, we've established the how, the when, and the what. Now it's the why. The why is for engagement. The why is ultimately for connection to increase engagement. So a lot of us treat the daily huddle like a way to run through the day-to-day and talk about the numbers and talk about what is what's important for today and tomorrow and even the day before yesterday, which is accurate. I mean, I'm not taking away from that. You do want to cover all of those things. However, don't forget that you have an opportunity here to create engagement in your team to subsequently increase performance. So when I get into the two sections of a daily huddle, be mindful of the why. It's not just to cover the numbers. It's not just to talk about what is on the schedule for today. It's not just to talk about a review of yesterday and a preview of today. It's also to talk about how we can figure out ways to engage. It's different exercises I'm going to share with you on how to create engagement to subsequently increase performance. I shared earlier that 70% of employees are disengaged, but subsequently 80% of people will tell you that they are fully engaged when they receive meaningful feedback at least once per week. The good news is you have an opportunity to do this daily, and I'm going to share with you what that looks like. Some of the rebuttals that I get at times is, Josh, you don't know my shop. I can't get the guys to show up on time, or I just don't know what to say every single day during a daily huddle, or the guys just don't like the daily huddles, or quite frankly, they just seem to be a waste of time. And there's been a couple occasions where I've had to, on a coaching call, ask my client to, hey, look in the mirror and answer this question for me. How much do you believe in daily huddles? Because the information that you're sharing with me, I can see it in your body language. I can see it on your face. You personally don't believe in the daily huddles. If you don't believe it, how is your team going to believe it? Remember, if we're effectively leading those around us, we've got to first effectively lead ourselves. And we've got to understand the why behind what we're doing to begin with. So I can give you suggestions all day, but if you don't understand the why or believe in the why, I can't expect it to happen effectively, which I get it. I totally understand that. This is why we know that when the why is clear, the how is easy. So I want to make sure that I can properly explain and set expectations and define the standards on the why so that the how is easier for you. Regarding the two sections I alluded to earlier, they are number one, wins and opportunities. That's one section. So wins and opportunities. And the second is engagement opportunities. So these are two opportunities that we're capturing. One is on the wins and opportunities. The second is engagement. Regarding the wins and opportunities, this is very typical of what your huddles already look like. I would assume so anyway. And that is you're really just covering what went well and what went poorly the day before, as well as what needs to be celebrated and addressed. You're ultimately kind of running down the gamut of the good news, the numbers, and the forecast for the day. So you're able to review yesterday and preview today. It's important that you're mindful of the opportunities that we identified yesterday and subsequently captured. And if you didn't capture them, let's talk about ways that we can capture them moving forward. That's a review of the days prior. And then a preview is what's on our schedule, who's coming in. Maybe we need to dispatch any additional ROs that may have come in late last night. What housekeeping items or shop supplies do we need for the day? We're basically reviewing all the WIPs, all the works in progress, identifying what might be needed with any of the repairs that are currently on the board, as well as assigning workflow and ROs for morning drop-offs, and just covering the schedule. We've got 3 folks on the schedule today at this time, and this time. Here's what they're coming in for. We got 2 tomorrow. You're really just kind of covering the grounds of what's happening. It's the day-to-day. It's the overall shop environment, and you're making sure everyone's on the same page. Ultimately, I believe that one of the keys to effective leadership is transparency, and you want to share everything within reason. I mean, not everything is noteworthy or newsworthy. However, when your team is a part of it, when they're a part of the process, when they're a part of the vision, when they're a part of the mission that's driving towards the vision, you have substantially increased buy-in. And ultimately, when you have more buy-in, you have more engagement and subsequently an increase in performance. So you're going to cover the wins and opportunities. That's one section. The second section of the daily huddles is what I call engagement opportunities. And there are 5 specific engagement opportunities that I'm going to give you today that will help your team become more engaged and subsequently increase performance. Beginning with number 1, have someone else actually lead your daily huddles. You as the shop leader, whether you're the service manager, whether you're the owner, whether you're the lead technician, whatever role you're in, if you're listening to this episode and you're thinking, hey, I'm responsible for huddles, and you're telling me to do them daily, I struggle with leading them weekly, let alone daily. What am I going to talk about? This gives you an opportunity to also empower your team members through growth and development. You're giving them something that they may not quite be comfortable with. You're giving them something to be in charge of. You're giving them authority. You're giving them an opportunity to really show up. And again, they're not rising to the occasion, but they are, what's the phrase? When the pressure's on, we don't rise to the occasion, but we do fall to our highest level of preparation. You're preparing them so that they are ready to provide a team meeting in a public setting. A lot of folks don't like public speaking. And I've even heard that public speaking is the number one fear of people, which means that people fear public speaking more than their own death. So that would mean that some people would actually prefer to be in the coffin than giving their own eulogy at their wedding or at their funeral rather. And so it's pretty mind-boggling to think public speaking, it does, whether you're speaking in front of 500 people or 5 people, doesn't matter what your shop size is, public speaking is public speaking. And this gives them an opportunity to get comfortable being uncomfortable. We know that growth and comfort can't coexist. So this allows this person to be empowered to lead something, to take control of something, to take charge of something, and champion something that will ultimately help them grow and develop into a more effective leader. So have someone else lead them. I would recommend maybe even designating a particular day for a particular person. So, Mike has Tuesdays, Mike has every Tuesday morning, or Patrick has every Thursday morning, or whatever the case may be. But you can determine ahead of time, give these individuals some notice well in advance, and let them know, hey, moving forward, I'd like for you to lead these daily meetings or daily huddles, and this is what I believe they can look like, and I'm more than happy to help you with them as well. But you're letting them know previews and reviews as well as engagement opportunities. The second engagement opportunity is icebreakers. You're kicking things off with an icebreaker, and a lot of us have heard about icebreakers before. It's exactly what you're thinking it is. It has nothing to do with work. It is, for lack of better terms, it's kind of nonsensical in this regard, because you're kind of thinking like, Josh, there is nothing about work involving, or there's nothing about, work when it comes to icebreakers. It feels like a massive waste of time. It feels like it's counterintuitive or counterproductive to what we're trying to do. And I get it, but keep in mind the whole purpose, the why behind this, the whole purpose is to create engagement. And we know that games and exercises like icebreakers can create engagement. So you're going to ask questions like, all right, what's your favorite genre of music? Or, hey, if you're a superhero, what would your superpower be? During the holidays, Christmas time, hey, what's your favorite Christmas movie? And I guarantee you it's going to generate a lot of different responses, and it's going to create more camaraderie and conversation. A lot of what I'm sharing with you are simply conversation starters. And once you can start the conversation, you're going to see your team grow closer together. It's creating this sense of camaraderie and engagement that ultimately will help increase performance. I keep on saying that same phrase. So I want to drill this into your perspective, because with perspective, the way that we view things drives the way that we do things. I want you to view things differently so that you can do things differently. A lot of what I'm sharing with you, especially with the engagement opportunities, probably sounds a little crazy. It sounds a little strange. Like why would I ask someone what their favorite genre of music is? It's not about the content, it's about the connection. You're not doing this for the answer. You're doing this for the connection that is creating in your team and the engagement that ultimately comes from it. So the first two engagement opportunities, number one, have someone else lead them. Number two, icebreakers. Number three, a word of the day. I call this the word of the day trend. And this is where you're going around the horn and you're asking, all right, what's your word of the day? What's your word of the day? What's your word of the day? You're asking for everyone to give you their word of the day, because that's their word of the day to help them be mindful of where their mind frame started at the beginning of the day. Most of your word of the day is going to be something relative, something that can tie into work. I mean, someone might say intentionality, consistency, positivity, these nice, fun buzzwords. You're also going to get some folks who just give you some really colorful 4-letter words, and that's fine. Early on, let anyone say anything they want. Ultimately, this is about camaraderie. This is about creating something. It's about sparking some type of conversation. So you're going to have some people who kind of, quote unquote, mock the system, mock the process, or mock the exercise, and that's fine. Early on, you're going to have that, but keep doing this. Do it with consistency. Do it with intentionality, and I will guarantee you're going to see a difference as time goes by. There are two specific examples I want to give you, real life examples that happened with two of my coaching clients. One of them was a service manager and one was a lead technician. And ironically, this happened around the same time frame, and they don't know each other. This happened across the country. One was on the West Coast, one was on the East Coast. And so when we did the word of the day trend, they implemented the word of the day trend in their daily huddles, and both of them came to me within about a 1-week time frame and shared something that was pretty incredible. They said, hey, we started the word of the day trend about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and a couple weeks have gone by, and we've kind of gotten a little lackadaisical on the word of the day trend. Like it was going, every day for the first week and a half, and then maybe every other day for the second week, and then it's kind of trailed off. But I had in both cases, it was their most disgruntled technician, and they both said the exact same thing. That's why it's so fresh in my mind, even though it happened over a year ago. But they said the exact same thing. My most disgruntled technician came to me today and said, hey, are we still doing the word of the day trend? Because that individual who was kind of mocking the exercise to begin with, it became something for them. It became something that created buy-in for them. Even if they're going to make fun of it, even if they're going to kind of just mock the idea, they were still involved with it. It created this level of camaraderie and engagement. Even if they weren't trying to be engaged, it created that. And so you'll be surprised at how well this works. I have a current client of mine on the West Coast, and he shared with me last week that they're doing the word of the week. And so what they're doing is, and I love this, by the way, I think this was a brilliant idea. And so for the word of the week, what they're doing is they collectively as a shop determine what their word of the week is. And so they determine on a Monday morning, hey, here's our word of the week. And then for the rest of the week, anytime they hear that word, everyone echoes that word after it's said. And so I forgot what word he said. It was something pretty silly. It was something like sassafras or something that, it's not often used in a regular day-to-day. But he said they're finding ways to intentionally use this word, and then they all say this word after the word gets said. And it's creating this level of buy-in, this camaraderie, this collaboration, this cohesiveness, it's connection. what happens is inadvertently, we begin serving our team before we serve our guest, which I believe in wholeheartedly anyways, because if you're going to serve your guest well, serve your team first. Allow your team to serve you first, serving each other first. It will naturally bleed into the guest experience. So it's pretty incredible how a lot of these folks, including my client that I just shared with you, how they make these things their own. I highly encourage you to take the information I'm sharing with you. You don't need to do it like you don't need to do it exactly like I'm sharing, but I want to at least give you some recommendations, some suggestions. Hopefully this can spark some creativity in you to make this your own and completely change something altogether. You might say, hey, you know what? I think icebreakers is a cool idea, but I want to do something completely different with the same kind of result. Go for it. I say go for it. So we got have someone else lead the team, have someone else lead the daily huddles. The number 2 engagement opportunity is icebreakers. Number 3 is the word of the day trend or steal the word of the week. I think that's awesome. I love the word of the week. That's that I love those acronyms. WOW, word of the week. That's a wow kind of an engagement opportunity. The 4th one is High-Low Buffalo. High-Low Buffalo is a game that I play with my family. So my wife and I have 4 kids, ages 14, 13, 12, and 9. So we are right in the thick of it. So if you know, you know. But something that we love about this particular game is the amount of conversations it creates. And so we don't often get to all sit around the dinner table and have dinner after school and after work and talk about things. But every once in a while we do. And when we do, we always take the opportunity to do High-Low Buffalo. And this is something I've encouraged clients of mine to even incorporate in their daily huddles. The way it works is with a High-Low Buffalo, everyone goes around the horn and gives their high from yesterday. What was the best part of yesterday? Then we go around and get what the low point was yesterday. So, we know that not every day is going to be a good day, but we can still find the good in every day. And even if there is something that didn't go well yesterday, hopefully there's other wins that you had throughout the day. So it's really about perspective. The whole idea is you're sharing the good, the bad, and the weird, wild, bizarre. That's what Buffalo is. Buffalo is the wildest, weirdest, strangest, most bizarre thing that happened yesterday. And this is the piece of the High-Low Buffalo engagement opportunity that will guarantee to potentially take your daily huddle and go well beyond the 15 minutes. So be mindful of that. I'm giving you a forewarning that if there's any engagement opportunity that will definitely create just an abundance amount of time that you didn't think you had or that you might not have, this is the one that could do it. Because when people start sharing their buffaloes, this is when there's a lot of laughter, there's a lot of conversation. It's just it becomes this giant group conversation, and all the wheels can fall off the wagon if we're not careful. So just be mindful of it. But it is an incredible engagement opportunity. However, it's not the most effective. The most effective is the 5th and final engagement opportunity, and that is to publicly praise everyone when possible. Publicly praise everyone when possible. Did you know that most people don't leave bad jobs? They leave bad leaders. And they leave bad leaders because those leaders are not regularly hearing them, seeing them, valuing them. At least that's not what's felt. A lot of folks don't feel those things. And one of my favorite quotes, I know you've heard me say this before, from Maya Angelou. She says, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And unfortunately, there's a lot of folks who don't feel valued. They don't feel recognized. They often feel criticized, condemned, judged. They don't receive feedback as feedback because they're not used to getting recognition. They're used to hearing about all the things they're doing wrong. It's a gotcha session. It's a beat you up session. It's not a session to allow for your voice to be heard, for your opinion to matter, and for your ideas to be considered. So we get to reframe, redefine, change the way daily huddles, one-on-ones, meetings, toolbox talks are done in our shop. So as a recap, daily huddles, the impact of them, it's immeasurable, but they're essential for 3 things: team communication, clarification on daily workflow, and engagement, which leads to increased performance. Hope you found value in this episode. I would encourage you to implement this in your shop. Let your team know you're going to implement it in your shop. That way they're not just caught off guard. Give them the why, because when the why is clear, The how is easy. So thank you again, everyone. Have a great day. Don't forget to smile today. Tell your loved ones how much they mean to you. I'm Josh Parnell, reminding you to keep leading well.